For centuries, horses have captured our imagination and our hearts, whether it's their majestic strides or how powerful they gallop down a racetrack, or just their sheer beauty. You remember Black Beauty? The point is, no matter what they do, those hoofed creatures continue to captivate us. And for those lucky enough to own a horse, I'm so jealous of you right now, they'll tell you it's one of the most heartwarming relationships.
Horses are unbelievable pets. They love you as much as you can love them. Horses are a full commitment. If you own a horse, you have to look after its every need. They're not like a cat or a dog. They're completely different. You have to make sure that you have turnout facilities where they can go out in the pasture and be natural. You look after its feeding, its watering, every single thing you're doing, you do for the horse because you have taken it out of its natural environment.
It's certainly not an easy task to properly feed and maintain a horse.
Horses can drink up to 12 gallons of water a day, so it's important that horses have water at will. It's not something you give them and take it away from them. They should have water at all times. Feeding, horses are constant grazers. They need to eat little and often. A horse in the natural environment would eat grass continually all day long. We put them in a stable and we take away that ability. So we feed them hay, which is dry grass, and carefully grown grass. If you just see a green pasture and it has weeds, a horse may not eat those weeds. So don't think that that's something they can eat. They want a particular type of grass. There's guinea grass, there's paragrass, crabgrass they like, but it's not very good. They love guinea grass. I'm talking about grasses in Jamaica. They're very important. Then we feed them a pelletized corn or wheat middling. And it's good for them, but they can't live on that alone. You can't just feed them the dry food without the bulk of grass and hay, grass or hay. And you can never give a horse enough. They should have it at will, so that if they want to stop eating it, then they can.
And if you're thinking about getting a horse as a pet, ensure that you have the time and the money to invest.
Horses are a full-time commitment. It's like a marriage. If you're not going to commit to that horse, don't get it. They need you all the time. You don't go away and just leave them. You don't just throw them out in a pasture and forget about them. If you can't do it, then you have to find someone to do it for you. You may have to pay somebody to look after that horse for you, but it is a big time commitment. And that's what I tell all of my horse owners. Before they buy a horse, you know this is a marriage. It's a lifetime. The horse may outlive you. And you have to think of it every day, of its care, where it's going, its exercise, what it's doing, and what is it doing for you. That horse doesn't make you feel good, then you shouldn't have it. But all horse owners are basically addicted to their horses. You must have grass. You have to be able to afford to buy grass or cut grass or have a pasture with grass, remembering that grass doesn't just grow all year round in Jamaica. Come certain times of the year, it slows down. You need a lot of feed. It is a lot of grass. And I say feed, I'm not talking about buying feed from Hypro or Jamaica Livestock Association. You need to have a man cut fresh grass. You have to be careful that that grass does not become sour, because that will give them the colic and they get stomach aches. You can buy hay. Hay is very common, and it's dried hay that is cut especially for animal feed. Grooming, being that means brushing them off, cleaning them, yes, extremely important. Horses get dirty, but they also shed hair just like a dog or a cat, and it's important to groom it out of them. You also need to encourage their oils, their natural oils. Every time you brush them, you stimulate these oils and the horse's skin becomes healthier.
Horses are complex creatures with individual requirements, and like all animals, no matter how intelligent they are, they still cannot communicate like humans. So an understanding of the fundamentals of horse care is vital.
The most common illness you have with horses is a thing called colic, which is stomachache, just like in a baby. A horse cannot tell you it has it. You have to look at the way it moves. They will look at their stomach, they will paw, they'll be uneasy. They may not eat their feed, and you have to become accustomed to looking at a horse's habit. A horse does the same thing every day. They're just like people. You get to know them. A horse with colic, we lose a lot of horses, like at our racetrack, we lose horses from colics. Their intestines are incredibly long, and they blow up like a balloon, and then they roll because they don't know how else to get rid of the stomach ache, and then the gut might twist. And if you imagine the balloon clown at a birthday party, how he twists and makes dogs, and imagine one of those bursting. Those can burst inside this horse's stomach, and then they bleed to death, and it's a very painful death for a horse.
Bonding in every relationship is crucial, and in order to bond with your horse, you need to earn its trust.
The first thing you have to realize with a horse is that they are herd animals. They respond to you as part of their herd. You don't expect a horse to think of you as anything but a funny-looking horse. That's what you are to them. You want to think about how do you get that horse to be calm around you? By keeping a calm voice, showing him where the feed comes from. That's the most important thing with horses. They deal with their stomachs. They know where the food is coming from, and they know you're the person who's bringing it. They'll immediately start respecting you for that and recognizing you as that person. As I said, we really become their herd, the head of their herd, like their stallions. And sometimes horses do live by themselves, and they do happily so, as long as they have a human being that they can associate with as part of their herd.
It's important to be patient with your horse, especially when it comes to taming them.
Horses are big animals. They are more afraid of you than you are of them. And if you're going to get an animal for the first time, you'd want to have one that has been handled already. But to tame a horse, say a horse that has been turned out and has hardly seen human beings, you have to first of all take it out of its environment, put it into an enclosed area, say a stable or a small pen, and approach that horse in a way that calms it. It can take hours, it can take days, it can take weeks. Just like human beings, horses each have their own character. Some of them are trusting, some of them are not. The feed can take time for them to understand that you're bringing the feed, you're bringing the water. Once they understand that you're controlling that, they will slowly create a habit with you being their centerpiece.
Most kids would normally want a puppy or a cat for a pet, but not in this case.
Because horses I like more than dogs, and you can't ride a dog. So I love riding, so I chose to ride a horse. And horses are a little more easier to handle than dogs to me. She's a quiet horse, and she listens to me. And yeah, that's it.
Like young Sophia, there's a certain passion that all horse lovers have.
They're the most giving animals I've ever come across. I just love the way they treat people. They're always loving, they're easy to get to know. You can watch them just like a human being. You can watch each horse's different habits. Some of them are amusing to watch, some of them are boring, some of them don't really give away much of their emotions, some give all of you their emotions. And they're just honest. They are who they are, and they don't pretend to be otherwise.